Hallo, welches?
La salade, tomate, concombre et le fromage. Fromage. Non, je veux pas.
Das kann man natürlich.
Battery manje, so she got I'm talking to charge.
What's electric?
Hey. Igwe.
Nee, is een vluchteling. Vluchteling. Is een ook een vluchteling?
Ja, und?
Nee?
Du musst kochen.
Aber nicht hier ist teuer. The black one, I cannot get it from black people, but the white people are getting it very easy.
I welcome you all here in Berlin. As I heard, you just arrived in Berlin, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I do hope that you are not so tired from Berlin back to Inasmin and vice versa. This is the most important thing, and so the 30 weeks at home in the constituency are nearly more important for the people and for the feeling and the acceptance of democracy than the 22 weeks I'm working here.
Where politics is the other way round, there's no democracy. My question is, on a personal level, are there benefits accrued from being an MP? And also, are you satisfied with your contribution within the party that you have made a positive development within the country and within the community?
Yeah. Okay. The first question, yes, we are seeing such a development. And the world is changing. The world is changing in the moment with a speed which is frightening lots of people. And the world is changing in nearly every kind. We have the globalization, we have digitalization, we have lots of things which are changing. And the people getting afraid. And the first thing what a child thinks when it's young is that the way to solve a problem is this. I'm not there. You might know from your children. Why am I telling this? This is the first thing because in our brains when we are born, the idea is if I do not see the problem does not see me. This is what children think. When you grow up, you know, this is not a possibility to solve any kind of problem. But, as you might know, there is a child in the heart of everyone from us. And so, if a society, if people are afraid with all these changes, they might think that going back to yourself, saying to everyone, go away, I want to be on my own, This could be a solution for this. It is not. Why did I tell you? I told you half an hour, three quarters of an hour ago that our was heißt denn Betriebssystem? Driving system, what? Operating system. The operating system in our brain is 200,000 years of age, and so this is there. And the people who are thinking we have to go rid of all this stuff, of the people who are coming to us due to the problems in Africa, in Asia, in the Nahen Osten, Middle East. Thank you. In the Middle East and something like that, is a possible solution. And if you send a problem back this way, it goes back that way. And we have to be absolutely clear that this world has become so small that the problem in Syria, the problems in Africa, are the problems of Europe as well. And we have to convince the people who are thinking about, if we get rid of the people, and this is the baddest thing at all, then we get rid of the problems and we can live on our own in peace. This is not wrong. You know about the war, it comes back.
So I'm asking if the parliament knows about also the problem in Nigeria, like what is going on in Nigeria, and also in the people calling themselves the indigenous people of Biafra, and what is the future of that place, because a lot of people, life of many people are in danger in that place. Yeah. If the parliament is not doing something, I want them to start also discussing about the Nigeria situation.
I'm not one of the colleagues who are working on Africa, which is forcing the people to do something. Sometimes it's necessary to go this way, but
To research that there are certain diseases that you're working on, HIV, TB, and so forth, and you're working on that, especially in German. Are you aware that in the southern African parts, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and so forth, we now are experiencing drug resistance TBs? Are you also working on that, on that? And if so, how are you doing it? Are you working, partnering with the governments, or how are you doing it?
okay. Yes, we especially work on the XDR, extreme drug-resistant tuberculosis. I had been in the townships from South Africa, and there are several ways of helping them. The first is to develop a vaccine. The second one is to have a therapy. This is the one he told you. It's something concerning XDR, which means that you easen the schedule of about 24, 25 drugs, 1-to-1 pill, and which is more efficient than the 24, 25 different drugs you have to take in past. This is what and this is done by money from government to so-called PDPs, public development partnerships, together with companies and universities in South Africa. Stefan Kaufmann from the so-called Max Planck Institute here in Berlin is collaborating with institutions in South Africa, with institutions all around Africa. And so the development research.
My name is Martina. I'm your city guide, like last year. Some of you I remember last year. And we have also some photo stops at the Gendarmenmarkt and the historical center of Berlin, and at the famous Brandenburg Gate. I think we will have also a photo stop. And after 3 hours, we will be back here at the hotel. Okay? When you have any questions, because I think for you sometimes it's very difficult to imagine how it was in Berlin with a wall in the middle of a city. It's very hard to imagine, also for Germans who never have been in Berlin when the wall stood here. So when here to our right-hand side we see new residential houses with expensive apartments, brand new built during the last 3 years here, this buildings, and in front of us this year was a empty no man's land, a so-called death strip. It belonged to East Berlin, and only watchtowers stood here, nothing else, no building, no tree. It's very hard to imagine, it's only 30 years ago. This year we celebrate 30 years the wall fell down. Nearly undamaged, the Second World War. And today it's our Ministry of Finance. Now again the exhibition here, Topography of Terror. And we are still in the former Westpark. And the original sign here to our right, you are leaving the American. You know, Germany started with the Second World War, yes, in 1939, and they lost this war. And the war was over in 1945. And the winners were the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union. And there was a conference in August, in July and August 1945 in the city of Potsdam, beside Berlin. And in this conference, the United States, Great Britain and the Soviet Union worked together. And they decided what happened with Germany after the Second World War. And they decided they divide Germany in 4 parts. In an American sector, a British sector, a French sector, and a sector for the Soviet Union. And that's the picture from it. So you see the east part of Germany was the Soviet sector, which later became the GDR, the German Democratic Republic. It wasn't democratic at all. So East Germany, this was the Soviet sector. And West Germany, they divided in the British sector here, the north of Germany, you can see it, the French sector, this side, it's very hot, also for Germany, it's hot. And
Which country is this?
and again, around 100.
Welche?
Was ist?
Aus welcher Ecke kommen die?
Aus Oldenburg.
Nee, aber ursprünglich meine ich.
Oldenburg.
Na, aber im Krankenhaus.
Ja, sehr schön.
Gut.
Nicht zu Hause.
Then we shoot you in the leg. It's not good. One side and back.
They wanted freedom for traveling, not only in the socialist and communist countries. They wanted to see the whole world, and that's why they demonstrated nearly every day. And at the 4th of November 1989, East Germany had the largest demonstration the wall fell down. Before this, there was a press conference, you know it very good, from East Germany. And East Germany, the government, they wanted to tell now what they will change in the country. So, and the leader of this press conference, his name was Abfahrt, and he said, a nice exhibition concerning the life of the French Protestants in Berlin. In the underground there's a little congress center, and you can see over 4 floors the exhibition called Questions on German History, which is also very interesting. It's also in English, and it's free. Every day open, only closed on Mondays. In the middle, between the 2 churches, we see a former theater, the Schauspielhaus, built in 1828. In the Second World War, it was nearly completely destroyed. And in 1979, East Berlin, they decided to rebuild it, and it was reopened in 1984 as concert hall, and that's what we have now, a very nice concert hall.
Sie kommt nicht mehr hier heute oder was? Wow.
Jetzt mal nicht schnell.
Come a bit closer, then I can tell you. So before the building, only the gate stood here. And for the East Berliner, it was finished at this traffic light. The gate belongs to the and you see on the top of the gate, this is the Swastika with the goddess of peace. And this goddess, she always looked in the East. The West Germans, they told often that the East Germans, they turned it around. That she looked in the East. But it's not true. She brings the peace in the city. And the center of the city is and was. So when you like, I can take again. I think it's better. It comes with the number.
The most famous. Okay, all together.
Where's the birthday girl?
Where is she?
Where's the back? Who is the birthday person?
Happy birthday, dear Gerdes. Happy birthday to you. Once again, we can do it together.
See it now very good. It's a symbolic bridge between East and West, and we are leaving now East, and the river belonged here completely to East Berlin. So West Berlin began at the banks here of the river. And in front of us to our left we see this blue building. This is the kindergarten for the children of the employees of the German parliament. And now the only one here in the government quarter. And now we see very good to our right the Chancellery, the seat of Angela Merkel. It's a very large building. It has 3 buildings together. In the middle, this block from 8 stories. This is the main building. And left and right you see office buildings, long office buildings. And here she has her office in the 5th floor. There's also an apartment for the Chancellor, but Angela Merkel, she lives at the Museum Island, so not so far from here, and she doesn't need the Chancellor apartment. Reunification here in front of the Reichstag, in front of the Reichstag's building between the Reichstag and the Brandenburg Gate. And in 1991 came the decision that Berlin should be again the seat of the parliament, the capital of Germany. And then Also, yes, the two panda bears, the female panda bear is pregnant. You see they are divided in the middle. Station Wittenbergplatz from 1913. The subway, the underground Berlin has since 1902.
Building the night of the 30th of April to the 1st of May 45. There were fights, but as you can see, there was still a lot left of the old building. But in the 60s, when they rebuilt this for the first time, they wanted to be modern. Paul Baumgarten, the architect, he said, Germany is not an empire anymore. In 1995, the first thing he did was taking away these walls, he found the graffitis, and he proposed to keep them as a part of the history of this building. Then the former president of parliament, she came here together with the Russian ambassador. They had a look at them and he said, well guys, we're going to just keep them, but do me a favor, there's some in between, they seem a bit rude to me. So those insults, you should please better erase. And that's also, Johnny also stands for the United States of America. She worked together with two German historians and chose speeches. Speeches held are here at the Reichstag or at the Bundestag in Bonn, and she forms a column out of speeches, as if she wanted to say that speaking in Parliament is one of the columns of the whole democratic system. There are 4 different texts, and that shows the diversity of speech, the different opinions existing. His girlfriend, Galina, so the war was over, he was on his way back, yeah, and he obviously hoped that she would be there waiting for him. And to prove his love, he took a photograph back home of this. So that's how we know that they got married and got 2 children, because the granddaughter came back to look for this. That's how we knew about this. So yeah, we came out here to show you that Parliament needs much more than one big room where everybody can meet. They need a lot of offices. And there was space around here to do some new buildings. On the left, the Paul River building, where the committees of Parliament work, and members' offices. About 1 out of 3 members has his office in this building. A building that was built by Stefan Braunfels, an architect from Munich, and he also did the one on the other side of the river, which is Parliament's library. There in the glass cube is the library, their archives, and the scientific assistance. Parliament chose the same architect to do both buildings because the Berlin Wall passed right behind this building, reached the river, because he went on the other side of the river. So here the river was the border between both parts of town. And they wanted to reunify both parts of Berlin by working with the same architect. There's some elements in the architecture showing that. For example, the roof you see up there has such a diagonal cut. On the other side, it's just the other way around. If you push both houses together, it would form one single roof. The white crosses next to the river remind us of those who were killed when they tried to swim across the border. Yeah? The border, there were soldiers protecting it, and some of these people were killed. This evening, about 8:45, we do a multimedia projection on this there. That's where all the official press conferences are held. So if you see some news, you see there's a light, it's in the wall, some people sitting in front of them talking. That's in this room there, and then the facade, that's this rectangle, that's the big conference. We're very close to the classroom, but also very close to the other. Look on the left, the background, that's the Chancellor's office. This is Merkel's office, that's where she works. So every single speech held in Parliament, every single word is in this book. Or on our website. You can also check our website.
Friends, can anybody read Russian? Read or speak or identify Russian writings? Why do we find Russian writings here? Why? What happened here? Berlin, 1945. What happened?
1945 Berlin.
Yeah, the end of the Second World War. And there was fighting here, vicious fighting inside the building, inside the city, and inside the building about 5,000 soldiers tried to take over the building in April 1945. And finally, when they took over, what you can see now is what they wrote on the walls. They used coal and they put it on a sandstone wall, very soft material, sandstone. And that's why you can still see places where they came from, Stalingrad, for instance. Here, a soldier from Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan. This is our victory over Berlin. Sometimes you can see love greetings. Natasha, wait for me, I'll be back. Sometimes very bad words. We got most of the bad words removed. You will not find them anymore today. Up here you can see machine gun fire. This is also machine gun fire. And what is the reason why we left those writings here for everyone to see? What do you think? Is there any reason?
For our being here today, for me,
History.
for history, and for us, for visitors like this. It's like a small museum inside the parliament.
A museum inside a parliament for historical reasons. Working as a member of parliament. You have second jobs, like you're an advisor for a company or something. You're allowed to do that, but you must report that, you must declare that to the President of the Parliament. And it will be on the internet for everyone to see. Yeah? How many companies you're working for, what your job is, and also how much money you collect by working for different companies. It's all on the internet. It must be declared to the President of the Parliament. Angela Merkel, as the head of the government, is not supposed to have any second jobs. Only one job for her. And when we talk about donations, it depends how much we're talking about, the amount. There's a certain amount over which it must be reported, again, to the President of the Parliament. And your election campaign is also kind of supervised, the financial support, by the President of the Parliament. There are certain regulations. We had a bit of a problem recently. If you receive money from outside the European Union, you're not allowed to do that. There was one party that collected money from Switzerland. Switzerland is not part of the European Union. They were in deep trouble.
Have to do a phone call, want to meet somebody in private. That's why we gave her a small office. This is Mrs. Merkel's office when she works from here. So she doesn't have to go back and forth. She can work from here. And here we are. Walk down the stairs, and then there's a line, a grey line, not the black one. There was a wall, and we can hardly imagine today. You couldn't walk out that door. There was no door. We were not allowed to open the windows in this direction. And obviously you cannot cross the square and enter this old historical building because it was already East Berlin. This old building used to be the palace of the President of the Reichstag. And it was also built by Paul Waller, by the same architect who built this building here. He did it 10 years later. And then he remembered that, and until today there is a debate going on about who would have set this fire. We know it was not an accident. The fire was set. It's not quite clear who's done it though. There's one version saying that it was a young man from the Netherlands. Okay. In this direction, there are 3 more buildings doubling on the other side of the street. So it's a total of 8 buildings connected to each other by tunnels and bridges. A bit more than 2,000 offices for members, their assistants, and for the parliament. 1933. Parliament loses its power and we can't speak of democracy anymore. Then from 1945 Until 1949, Germany was occupied, there was no parliament. In 1949, they formed the Federal Republic of Germany and elect the first Bundestag. And see, here is the change from Reichstag to Bundestag. The word Reich in Reichstag means kingdom, empire. So when this house was built, as Germany was an empire, the assembly was called Reichstag. 49, they formed the Federal Republic of Germany, and the word Bund in Bundestag means federation. So since 49, Parliament is called Bundestag. Put in the bells. They sound through the speakers in all Parliament buildings so that the members know there will be a meeting here. 15 to 20 out of 709. So it is a rather small thing. Behind this wall, they can sit up there and play. And so those are two models we made for our blind guests. So they can touch it and get an idea here of the neighborhood, and the next bar is the Reichstag building itself. And here we can sum up a bit what we've already seen. We started the tour here. We're standing here now. This is the courtyard behind me. But we started the tour on the other side. And then we walked around the corner. There were all the graffitis and Jenny Holzer's piece. Then we went onto the balcony, saw the committees of Parliament and members' offices. On the other side, the library, the archives, and scientific assistance. Not to the Chancellor's office over there. This is Mrs. Merkel's office. That's separated. Yeah. The wall came from Potsdamer Platz, along the park, made half a circle in front of the gate, went behind this building, reached the river, and continued here on the other side of the river. So all these buildings you see here, including the train station and the buildings around it, this is all new, has been built within the last 20 years.
And I wish you still a pleasant stay in Berlin. Come back soon. Berlin is changing every day. And some of you have been here last year, and probably you realize that a lot of things have changed again this year. So thank you very much, and goodbye. Maybe see you later next year.